Welcome back to Poetry and Police. Yes, big up to the members of the Jamaica Constabulary Force. And big up to all the citizens in Jamaica. The teachers, the firemen, the nurses as usual. Big up to the good law-abiding citizens in Jamaica. The people in Jamaica who does not want the atrocities of political warfare and political violence that struck our beautiful nation in the 80s. And our politicians couldn't care less. You see, my viewers and subscribers, many people in Jamaica who were living in Jamaica in the 80s and who have seen the violence that happened in the 80s election are still suffering emotionally. I'm telling you that people have PTSD. People remember everything like yesterday, how bloody that election was. And most Jamaicans are afraid for that to happen again. And that's the reason why most Jamaicans have taken steps to avoid that, by trying to get along with people of different, not background, but people of different political interest. And that is where our leaders should try as much as possible to allow Jamaicans to vote free without any form of influence from any dons, to vote free and to be free from political tribalism. But if it is all up to the Jamaican politicians alone, the 80s election would have been happening over and over again, repetition, just like a 360 degrees. I am telling you that, like the water cycle, I'm telling you that, because they do not care. Politician does not care about the people in Jamaica. All they care about is votes. And it does not matter how they get the votes. It does not matter the amount of people who dies for them to get that vote. And that is the reason why they are holding on to their so-called strongmen in these communities. And that is why they are holding on to political tribalism. And that's why they seek to control the senior officers in the Jamaica Constabulary Force. Now, people, I have something to play, which is somewhat a horror story. When I listened, my heart was broken. I was a child then, back in the 80s. But you have people who are grown people now who have been through the violence of the 1980s election caused by politicians in Jamaica. And you will hear their horror stories as it unfolds. And that is not an area that no one would want to come back in Jamaica again. People should fight as much as possible to get rid of these corrupted politicians, these corrupted police officers too, so that Jamaica moves forward and that people can vote without hiding hiding who they vote for. That people who live in an area that it's not a area that is a PNP stronghold or a JLP stronghold. It's an area that people are free to vote for whosoever they want to vote for. People are free to exercise their constitutional rights without losing their lives and without being living in fear. That is all I am saying. So sometimes we have to listen to the people who have experiences in the area. Because without these people, where would we be? Without these people, what kind of future we would have for Jamaica without their experiences and their knowledges? Because they have to teach us so we can avoid the things that happened in the 1980s election. So I want you to listen.
Member of Parliament was no exception where the war is concerned. Even Michael Manley was injured on the campaign. Mike Henry was shot but survived. Ryan McGann was murdered right there in McGregor Gully. 1980 was bad. It was so bad. It was bloody. It was the bloodiest election of all time. For the people who survived 1980, really have a story to tell.
We used to live 11 Bay Farm Road, and in the election time there, you see there had a lot of shooting. My mother and father tell me, say, Tony, go on and eat in bed, and anything you hear, don't come out, stay underneath there.
A baby was rescued somewhere there in Arnett Garden, where his mother and father was murdered, and the baby was there in a pool of blood. And that's when the police came to the rescue of that child. Eastern Jamaica was on fire. In speaking of Dunkirk, Mountain View, Harbourview, Rockfort, Warwick Isle, even Bullby. If you don't live there, you don't want to go there. It reached to the point where crime was spreading all over, but especially in a Kingston and St. Andrew.
Them time, dust in a great thing, them time there. Oh, we got school, we have to defend it. Who are PLP, who are JLP, who for a while time, so we have to come and be a gang thing. We could up on corner.
1980, I was living in Kingston 11 on a street called Binns Road. Some say a waterhouse, yeah? But some classify it as Olympic Garden, said Speed. My house facing the borderline, which was Dudney Road. I was living in a stronghold PMP community. At the time, the GLP would come down to Dudney Road and fire shot down to my side, hoping they could get away to come down to do the damage. Or the PMP would hide off into yards, lay awaiting them to prevent them from coming down into community. As soon as them come around, they will be greeted with bottles and stones and even gunshots also. It was really scary, especially for the law-abiding citizen.
When they kill your person, or there's a missing gunshot bust like rata capture for come down. The man get flapped and cut off mud pump in it.
I grew up in a Christian home with my godmother, and I'm telling you, Aunt Rose, she was a praying woman. And she was fear for us, for something to happen to us. But what she do was prayed. Once the gunshot start to ring out, all she do was on her knees, praying. That year, a lot of people lose their life, people that I know personally. Every day is a sad news. Who get shot up from who was murdered, who for house got burned down, who got 24-hour notice to leave the community. I am not sure what that got into the youth, but all I know, the youth them lost them way. Persons who used to sit, eat and drink together turn against their one another, all because of politics. All of a sudden, color becomes a problem. If you wear green, you could be attacked by the PMP. You could either be beaten or even murdered. And if you wear orange or red, you could be attacked by the laborites. You have to be careful you show political signs. The fist or the finger, that could also get you murdered. People was taken from public transportation and been beaten. I remember them stop a minibus coming from Waterhouse, right at the four-way there, so Olympic Way and Bay Farm Road, and taking on the people them one by one and ask them what them vote for. If you say PMP, you know it go. But nobody not stupid enough to say PMP. So once you say labor, right, them let it go and you're gone where you go. A Rasta man was in the bus, you know, and them people them take him out and say, Rasta man, what you vote for? And the Rasta man say, well, I don't vote for nobody, you know, I neutral. And the man give him a pickaxe stick and say, Rasta, get in gear. And the rest right there was history. In 1980, a lot of community was in red. If you go there at your own risk. People was gunned down. Houses got burned down. People have to run away. I remember Danny Charlene. He was very jovial. He give a lot of jokes. If you're around Danny Charlene and you don't laugh, something is wrong with you. What I really love him, you know. He was on the corner talking, giving jokes, and the side say, he might go and dance at Waterhouse. So him walk down the street, you know. But shortly after him left, we hear gunshot ring out. When the smoke clear, people screaming and shouting and bawling, saying Danny Charlene was murdered right there on Bay Farm Road, vicinity St. Patrick Primary School. One evening, the little youth them set up a scarecrow right at the corner, Scarlet Road and Dudney Road, and leaned up against the wall. It was dressed up in a pants and jacket and, you know, a hat. And they put a pipe iron into the scarecrow and to let it seem like it's a man up on the corner with a gun. Here comes a guy come around the corner looking for someone to shoot in the name of politics. Buck up the scarecrow and put a shot in the scarecrow. Run back on the corner because It's a one pop in my bus set speed. Them only can fire one shot at a time. Him come back one again and said the scarecrow still lean up against the wall and put a next shot in at the scarecrow and run back around the corner. So every time I shoot the scarecrow go down and down a little bit. So the third time come back around and fire. Some soldiers hid into a yard watching him. So them point the SLR across the street and just open it up on him. The soldiers' word was, you shoot the scarecrow and the scarecrow shot your back. I remember Rumba, not his real name, he'd be on a light post when a guy came around the corner with an M16 and started firing shot. Rumba stepped out with 2 big stones and the first one him fling licked down the guy speechless with him rifle. Rumba didn't even think of taking up the rifle. He just think of running away from the scene. No man want to confront a man with a rifle. When it comes to stone, Rumba dangerous. I would rather him point a rifle at me than point a stone at me. However, shortly the guy gained consciousness, took up him M16 and start to fire, then run off by retracing his step back to where he came from. The Hutchinson family was murdered right there on Conway Road. Husband and wife was attacked. The shooter didn't wait for them to open the grill. He just fired through the grill and through the door. When the alarm go off, both of them was murdered. They were laying in pool of blood in them bedroom.
I remember when one of them come for the ballot box them. Some man from up the road come for the ballot box them in a vehicle. Turn up blood now, been zone in a ballot box to bombard the man.
The polling station was attacked and people was held hostage inside. The attacker intention was to steal the ballot box, and if he refused to give them, it's gunshot. Before you knew it, the attackers was attacked, where gunshot was exchanged. But they made their escape into a vehicle, injured. People was really and truly scared. No man know what tomorrow will bring when it comes to gunshot. It was totally impossible for a day to go by without hearing shots.
When you hear shots, fire. You know what I do, we are run to go look sleep time. We wait until the cool down. The boat there, you see all the 2-3 men on the ground spread out and get shot. And man, some more time you do all the out of the madden them. We used to have a cousin work out there. One time we did the hand care attack people, emergency. One get shot and hand care attack them go public and from public to madden and then we there. It was rough, man. And one of my brethren, found him 50 years. 7 money them give me one night. When you see the man, I next day, the man red to him bad. Come like except for them, as long as we know him from that time, man still have the red in my eye. We him bad, the man in 7. And your relative dead 1 now.
People have them big nice clean bed empty for weeks because their favorite place to sleep was on the floor. They want to make themselves a smaller target for gunshot. In 1980, 2 favorite words to utter. I'm always listening for them. And I always remember them. Them a come. That's when Labour or PMP a come. You know? So them a tell you say if you run. Or get low. That means man will go and I'm about to fire. So man tells you to get low, because if you don't get low, you can't get shot. I'll always remember those sounds when it comes to 1980. The memories of 1980. Buses was attacked going to rallies and meetings. These buses was beaten badly with stone and bottle. Stone crashing through the windows of these buses and bottles beating on the body of the bus. If the bus ever stop, there'll be dead bodies, injured bodies. If the PMP bus go through the GLP era, expect these things to happen. And if the PMP bus drive through the GLP era, expect these things to happen. But that didn't stop people from going to their rallies and their political meetings. Gunman went into a gambling house and take out the woman them and use axe and chop up the man them. Just imagine you had a gun point, but an axe them used to chop you up. I remember myself, Donovan, Shelley and I was on the veranda playing when Antipat came rushing through saying, let us leave, we need to go Portmore, war are going to start. I think it was on the 30th of October. It was election day and the vote was going in and they were counting the ballot box. So Shelley, Donovan and Camille went into the pickup. Another guy was there, so I did not know him. I sat and watched the pickup drove out of the open land and make a right and head down Binns Road. Just then I walked to my house. Not even 2 minutes after the van left, I hear a gunshot rang out. They ran into soldiers down the street.
But the morning, Antipat come through it. Antipat come through it upon the veranda play and she said, come, we carry over because I be able things are going over there, so we don't want nothing to do, no. Me, my cousin named Camille and my cousin named Donovan. When we look, my auntie, husband, brother, I think they're on the van back. Yeah. And then she said, oh, if come grab something and come jump in the van because we're glad because we are going to Portmore auntie live. So we're going to Portmore, well, we drive off now, I will turn on a Binz, but I said, we turn on College Road. The amount of gunshot we fire in the van pan way as I pitting the man, then she said, I pitting the van, you know. Because me and my cousin run at the back, the man they run at the back, my auntie and Farah two pitting them at the front, and my another local cousin. So three pitting at the front, and my auntie and her husband, and me, and my another cousin run at the back, and my auntie husband, brother. I said, my brother said to my another cousin, get low. But when I know chopper gun, because I remember I look gun with the old, I can't forget because right now I'm a 46-year-old. And I tell you, sir, ears. It bother me. I couldn't sleep. Be about, when I sleep, I can't sleep. Ears, it bother me. Ears. Up to 20 days, I remember, I have to laugh. So my cousin that be about 48, 49 now. Because she's older than me, because I'm 46 now.
So when the shot fire, what happened? What you see when the shot start to fire?
We don't see the light that come out and go, we see the soldier them just come run and quack down on them knee, because khaki them used to read them time there. A soldier. Khaki them just come round the corner upon them knee, just start shoot up. I went upon Jesus. Because that's the command tell the Christian, you know. And me upon Jesus, that I'm little, you know,
so the
Jesus.
guy in the back of the vehicle, what happened to him?
Him get shot, man. Him drop in the van. And then them drive see me with him and carry him to the hospital. Him never dead. Him end up go foreign go dead afterwards because they shot the lodge in him head. I think they shot the lodge in him head and years after him dead at foreign.
So what happened to Camille?
Camille dead same time I say when we dead in the van. Me don't go see Camille head go so. Be a white, you know say I'm marrow that because you look over and say white. Be a marrow fly out of Camille head. I said that day there was a day and then my cousin that I never let shot to her face was big so. That day there was a day, man. That day they would never want to 80 election again. No matter about them election are alright, but if 80 in a Jamaica, we don't want to 80 come back no time at all. Because all election now go on, I tell you, no better something than 1980. Never forget that time, 1980 election.
The election was smooth sailing compared to 1980.
It was the most violent one. God, them time based on how man that take backs. Anybody can get shot at them time because when them come for backs, a gunshot business. I feel like it's the wickedest election.
Bloody, man, wicked. Wicked, man. Wicked like a civil war.
I would never want to see another 1980. I don't think I would ever see another 1980. This thing come far. I live to see PMP and Labour right walk up and down to the same community. People know say a man have voted for Labour right and people know say a man have voted PMP into one community and it's not a problem. We just need to make another step further now by observing the Black Life Matter, people's life matter, human life matter, where we think before we pull the trigger. We can't depend on the government for this. We can't depend on the preacher man for this. We have to just depend on ourselves. Yeah? Talk to the man of the mirror. Remember where we are coming from to where we are now. Remember where Marcus Garvey fight for. Remember where Paul Bogle fight for. Check the teaching of Malcolm X and Louis Farrakhan. Remember the saying, can we all get along? Sweet Jamaica, the land we love. Let us bring it back to the paradise it once was.
So my viewers and subscribers, you have heard it. Story of victims of the 1980 election, one of the most bloody elections in Jamaica's history. And let me tell you something, people. This is what we as Jamaicans, who seeks not for our country to go back in that degraded stage. That kind of politics that causes people's lives. But at the same time, people, you have to be careful of who you listen to, because you have some bloggers online who talk nothing but politics and try to separate the people in Jamaica by using politics as their weapon. You see, we have to choose who we listen to. And most of all, we need to listen to ourselves. And we have to listen to the victims of the 1980 election. A whole lot of us were children at that time, but our parents can tell us how bloody that election was. And our parents would tell us that we do not ever want Jamaica to go back to that stage. So as a blogger, I think it is our responsibilities to try and steer the people of Jamaica in a positive light as it relates to politics and even policing. My heart pained me, people. My heart was broken when I listened to the story of that female who talked about her family was killed in that van as a victim, and she's a victim, and the woman is clearly suffering from PTSD as a result. She has gone through so much trauma in her life as a result of those violence. Even the men who speak, older men who speak, you can see in their eyes that they would never want that to come back again. And the trauma that they have been through, losing friends because of political violence. Now, Jamaica is heading into better pastures. And as a blogger, I am telling you this, people, you will never hear me try to separate my people, to separate the Jamaican people by using politics, because that is not the relevance of my channel. My channel is to educate and separate our people from corruption and from corrupted politics and from corrupted police officers and even from corrupted bloggers too, because none of us as bloggers, all we do on this public forum is videos to gain recognition and videos to gain money. It's all about the money and the views. For me, people, I will tell you that this is not about money or views for me, but this is for the Jamaican people. This is to educate the Jamaican people of certain aspects of policing and aspects of politics and aspects of our countries, and how can we better our countries to help reduce crime and violence in Jamaica. You have seen it, people. You have heard. You have seen the victims in this video. Do we want Jamaica to go back to that day? Do we want Jamaicans to behave like animals again? Just because of politics? Just because of a man putting up a fist or a man putting up a finger? Is that what we want as Jamaicans?